Welcome to One Big Boat. We're all in this together. A show focused on people and organizations whose work is making a true difference in people's lives. Today, we welcome Marilyn Copeland, the co-founder and executive director of the Para Rowing Foundation.
We wanted to make sure everyone, everywhere had an opportunity to row.
She's on board to talk about their commitment to making rowing accessible to anyone, anywhere in the world. That's next on One Big Boat. We're all in this together. So, where did the idea come from for para rowing?
Para rowing has existed for a long time, but Para Rowing Foundation came from my own experience in rowing. I learned to row about 10 years ago when I came to Boston to live. And I walked into a boathouse and they handed me an oar, which I thought was remarkable. Like, you're handing me an oar? You don't even know me. And I got very involved in rowing quickly and was drawn to the para program that was at the boathouse because I'm a critical care nurse by background. And then, very quickly from there, I noticed that there was this real divide or difficulty for athletes with disabilities, even if they were welcomed into a boathouse as they were. They would roll down to a dock and a coach would meet them and there would be tension and nerves and concern about, they didn't know each other. They didn't know what that person's ability was, what preferences they had for being coached. And so I started volunteering and developed an intake process to make that simpler, where we were informed on, what the disability was, how it impacted the person's life, how it would influence their rowing, and the coach would know a bit about them and they would know a bit about the coach. And from there, I just noticed that there was like a dearth of resources in what needed to happen. So many people loved the sport or wanted to be in the sport but couldn't. And there's a lot of sort of barriers to what people think athletes with disabilities can do or can't do. And it's really as simple as asking them, which is what the intake was about. And before you knew it, I was thinking, wow, there really needs to be a lot of resources in this gap. And that's where Para Rowing Foundation was started. There are athletes out there, people with disabilities who want to be in sport, try sports, give it a go. And there are barriers and lack of accessibility, and just broadening all those opportunities is what we do in a very practical way. Nurses are very practical people. So it's about coaches, it's about equipment. We even loan equipment to people so they can give the sport a try without ever having to spend a lot of money to give it a try. And so the ultimate goal, the ultimate vision is that any athlete with a disability or future athlete with a disability can just go into a boathouse and someone says the same thing they said to me, which is, here's an oar, let's go. And so that's really what started the whole thing. And now we work with athletes globally, and we're not affiliated with a boathouse or a national governing body. So that frees us to work with anyone, anywhere, anytime. And that's how we started. And to date, we've worked with over 200 athletes from 26 nations and counting. Each day there's someplace new that reaches out, which is amazing and exciting that there's that much interest. And people really want to just do what everybody else wants to do, which is enjoy their life and feel their potential and go from there.
So you worked with 200 athletes. Now, when somebody is Boston-based, you would think that there would be mostly 200 athletes here. But you have a board of directors that is international. How did this go from, I think, right on the Charles River to boom?
Right. Well, my first experience was on the Charles River, but right from the get-go, Para Rowing Foundation was international. We wanted to make sure everyone, everywhere had an opportunity to row. And so we really thought about how could we get people who are in even less resourced countries, less opportunities. I mean, the United States has a fair amount of support and a fair amount, right? And a community that supports rowing and para rowing. So how could we bring that elsewhere? I mean, I know this sounds maybe kind of corny, but we are the United States. We should be leading in these kinds of situations of inclusion and diversity. And so we went to Portugal, was the first place we ever visited to go find a facility that was really inclusive. And it was almost a serendipity that it wound up this way. We went to visit this hotel we heard had lots of accessible rooms, and we arrived there and found it also was run by the head of Portuguese rowing. Other national teams from Europe trained there, like Great Britain and Denmark. Not their para teams, they're able-bodied teams. And we just thought, this is great. This is the greatest opportunity we can have. It has all the rooms we need, this person who understands rowing, and we can also share with national teams that other para rowers are coming here. Even those national teams, para rowers, were not coming to this facility because it had a very steep hill to get to the dock. And we thought, well, we can solve that. Let's see, we just rented a car.
Against nurse ingenuity, right?
Yes.
So
yeah.
People that come to you, I was on a board of Northeast Passage for a little while, and they help people with spinal cord injuries recreate, and they're out of New Hampshire. And what I found is there'd be some people, there was this one gentleman, I remember I interviewed him, that was a couch potato. And then he had his accident and he lost the use of his legs. And then he became an athlete, and he actually, he cycled across the United States.
Wow, yeah.
Something that he never even thought of prior to his accident. Are people coming to you who have never rowed before?
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's the whole spectrum of people. Some people who have never rowed didn't know para rowing existed until somebody told them about it. And so they're coming often after injury, but not always. Some people are born with congenital issues but they're new to sport. Many of them, especially people who have been injured by trauma, seem to be drawn to trying something new. It's like they want to test out their body and find out what their potential is, right? And it might still be healing as well. So they're very willing to try things like your friend about, what's new for me here? What can I do with this new body and how it moves? And it's exciting to be a part of that journey because often people think they can't do much. Or I worked with a veteran who had a similar story, had issues with alcohol even before entering the service, and afterwards never thought he would be able to do much. He had an injury, physical injury, and also unseen injury. And so he came, and this is somebody who then wound up rowing in the head of the Charles 3 years in a row, started competing in erg rowing machine competitions. And he said, I can't believe I was sitting on a couch just a few years ago and not even getting up off that couch. My liquor was on one side and my, urinal was on the other. And he goes, and now I'm out in the world and I have this new life that I never dreamed I would have. And that story is an extreme one, but you hear it often. What you're sharing is not that unusual for somebody who's been through something. And if they have that just small bit of support, whether that's you can give it a try. Like, listen, if I can try rowing, you can try rowing. Sometimes that's all it takes for somebody to have that extra little bit of encouragement. And then they have the opportunity to try something new and realize they can be really good at it and really enjoy it. Not everybody who gets on the water wants to be a Paralympian. No one ever is going to invite me to be on a national team, but I love being on the water. I love the serenity of it. I love the physicality of it. And that's what the athletes with disabilities are the same. Often the conversation is they're the same as everyone else. It's just we have to accommodate a bit of equipment.
Now, each person has to be fitted separately, right?
Yeah, they do. There's you start with a general framework of what would work, but the intake that we were talking about earlier helps with that because you can know up front what kind of equipment you would need to be able to adjust rigging and seats and strapping. And so you show up with your tool bag of things particular to that person because you've already learned a lot about them and what they can move. Do they need a hand grip to be able to hold the oar, or do they need a seat because they've had a spinal cord injury and they can't lean over. They need to be strapped into their seat. So you getting to know them ahead of time makes it also like, we do this all the time. It's no big deal. We say that a lot, and athletes are like, I've had people cry and tear up when we say, this is easy. We're going to get you in a boat. Like, no one has told me anything would be easy since I had my injury or since ever. And so the rigging and all that stuff, of course, it's like any other sport. If you get more and more elite, all of that detail becomes more and more important. But anybody can get in a boat and row, and you don't have to row by yourself either. So someone with a very high level disability can be in a boat with another rower who is very experienced, bow rower, and they can learn to row in the safety of a boat with two people, and somebody behind them is protecting them and being able to give them instruction. And in fact, that's how kind of I fell in love with what I'm doing now. Is I volunteered for the para program, and then I wanted to bow row. So I learned to row a single so that I could be the person in the back of the boat with somebody with a disability in front of me. And it's a remarkable experience for both people. You're both elated by the time you get out. This person is doing something they never thought they could get a chance to do. And then they realize, like, wow, there's all these other opportunities.
It becomes a life metaphor.
It truly is. It really is. And I call rowing yoga for people who can't sit still. And it really, I mean, that repetitive motion and trying to improve on it each time, and the technique and how focused you have to be. Every time you, your mind wanders, oh, I need milk, or I need, boop, the boat tells you, because you don't do something right. And then your mind has to be back in the boat. And it's such a powerful tool for every human. And then that just translates beautifully for people who are learning to move their bodies or doing something different. We're all told, try something new all the time, because you need to keep your mind elastic and your body elastic. It's great for health. So it's beginners who are just in it for that, all the way up to people who have raced in the Paralympics and want to train harder. And we connect them with Paralympic coaches and do large trainings that include that too. So it's everyone.
Coming up,
the races are going, we're chanting, Uganda, go Uganda. And there's, go the Netherlands, go, go, go. And we've had people turn around in their seats and go, where are you guys from?
we dive into their international reach. Did you have athletes in the Paris Olympics?
We did. We did. We had, I should have memorized this number, but at least 6 that we had worked with directly. Now they're training with their national team. But we probably worked with them right before they were on their national team or in between when they're in the rests for their national team. Sometimes we help connect people with their national team or get them classified. But it's kind of funny, we've been in situations like the team from PRF. There are a lot of people locally in Boston. And we'll be out watching the Paralympic rowing and, the races are going. We're chanting, Uganda, go Uganda. And there's, go the Netherlands, go, go, go. And we've had people turn around in their seats and go, where are you guys from? We're from everywhere. We're cheering for everyone we've ever, it's a really fun, remarkable experience.
It's about humanity.
It's about humanity. I love how you put that. Yeah, it is. It's about the people and their ability to enjoy life and reach whatever their full potential is, which is a totally nursing thing too. Yeah, so you can say there's a lot of influence in my mindset from my training earlier that gets brought to this for sure. But it's about people and humans and their joy and zest for life. And there's nothing better than watching somebody row for the first time and get out from that boat and there's a special smile that they get. And I literally have had a board member who joined. He's from the UK and he's a para-athlete. And I said, I want that picture. I want you to take a photo of when you get out of the boat the first time, that smile. And he was like, I don't know what you're... And when he sent me the picture, he said, now I know what you're talking about. There's this amazing joy. You just feel like you could radiate power and love and confidence. And it's all about getting a boat, but the boat is just the tool for feeling that way. So, it could be done in any other avenue, any other way, but it's easy to get people who are new to the disability community or don't have engagement with it to understand what that feels like because they've played sports or it's something understandable that they can connect to. It's kind of hard to talk about wheelchairs or, and people are like, well, I don't know, I've never been in a wheelchair, but they know what it's like to feel really great when they've done something new, right?
Yeah. So the name and the way we've talked sounds like you have a cast of like 100 employees all working on the same goal.
Oh, yeah, no.
Okay. But so where are you going from here?
Oh, I would love to have what you just described. That's where we'd love to go. The vision for PRF, which we call it for short because it's long, is that we are showing by example, by real work, what can be done in other countries and other boat clubs and bringing knowledge and expertise that lets people comfortably explore that, whether they're a coach or an organization or an athlete. And so our goal is that ultimately is that we don't exist, right? That people automatically include para rowing in their organization. They don't think about adding para rowing later. It's just part of their community because people with disabilities are part of our community. In the US, it's like 18% or 20% of people who have a proclaimed disability, right? So that's a large group of people. I mean, worldwide, it's like 1.4 billion people. So to date, we're designing everything that works for people whose bodies move kind of similarly, but wouldn't it be great if things were just designed and there weren't steps and you can just get into a building? Then nobody would have to worry about making things inclusive or how would we include para? It would just be part of the world. So that's the ultimate vision. But as far as like working practical end, having on each continent, having a hub where people can reach out and call or contact Para Rowing Foundation for that kind of advice, assistance, loaning equipment, is really the ultimate goal, which is why our board is so diverse. We have someone from Australia, Europe, the US, and there's one other continent.
That must be fun,
Africa.
setting up that board meeting time.
Oh, it's crazy. Thank God. That's one thing I've given to someone else to do because it takes a lot of time. Like some of our board meetings are at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Boston time, because that's, 8 or 9 o'clock at night in Australia. And so it's and then we take turns being most inconvenienced. Like sometimes that's really what we do. So it's not always at 6 a.m. for us. Sometimes it's 3 in the afternoon, which is, some terrible time for somebody else. And to me, it just shows the level of commitment that is on the board and how hard people want to work. So while we sound big and we have that spirit, we certainly punch way above our weight is how we like to describe it. But there are 5 of us on a working board and everyone volunteers their time. Everyone who works with us volunteers our time. So most of the money and donations go directly to athletes. There is the real work for me as the executive director is to keep the overhead at nothing. So we work out of our homes, we store equipment in the basement, and some of that I think will have to change as we grow. But that doesn't come until finances come, until funding is stabilized. And, in this world today, it's not easy to get people's attention for that because there's so much going on and so much uncertainty. But we hope to be the stable, like we're here because we don't have overhead yet. But that's not a sustainable model for what I described later on.
So if somebody wants to give money, a boatload of money, pun intended, or they just want to try para-rowing for the first time, how do they do that?
They can go to our website, which is easy, www.pararowingfoundation.org. We have Instagram at Para-Rowing Foundation, and all those places have options to donate. They can mail us a check. They can call me up. Our phone number is right on our website. In fact, I love talking to people who are even interested. They can email info@Para-Rowing Foundation, which secretly comes to me. So,
no longer a secret.
Yeah, no longer a secret. But that way, anybody can find one way or another to get a hold of us, because we want to hear from people, sure, who want to donate. Of course, we can't do our work without it. But we also want to hear from athletes and the coaches and all of that. In fact, Wednesday, I'm going to Western Mass with a Paralympic coach, because a club and an athlete and the athlete's parent all separately reached out to try and get information about how to include this young woman who is incredibly talented. I've seen her row in their program, and they're not sure, and they want to make sure they're doing it correctly. They want to do it safely, and they reached out on info@Para-Rowing Foundation. The parents met me at Head of the Charles, because we always have a tent there. I was on their para committee for years, and now can't take that time right now. So we're out there, and we're easy to get a hold of, and we love to hear from people, and bigger organizations too. We're working with an organization out of Alabama, and they work with wheelchair rugby and that like those levels as well, because it's easier for us to do a training in cooperation with someone. Again, it's about funding too. It's smart on a lot of levels. You can share the load of the funding, and you can also share the exposure amongst everybody. So we're out there. We're trying to do it while I'm here.
I know, well, you're desperate. There is so much we could talk to you about, but thank you for coming in. I hope everybody goes to that website, and I really appreciate your time. I
so appreciate the opportunity to come here and talk to you guys. You guys have been great. You made it very easy for me. And I can't wait to share this story and let them see it. My board members know I'm a mega introvert by nature, and they're like, too bad for you. You gotta go.
Well, you did a great job.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
One Big Boat is a production of Last Minute Productions, Incorporated. This episode was produced by me, Jay Dobeck. Ethan Gallo is the sound engineer. Jim Johnson and Ryan Macheski provided production support. Joanne Pilata is the production coordinator. And that dog sleeping under the table? That's Vegas.